Good day, all protocols duly observed. My name is Aino Mobolanle Adetitu. I am the group leader for Group N, and we are here to talk about the processes and techniques in planning, facilitating, and participating in a productive meeting in a face-to-face and an online mode. Planning is the process of making plans towards something. Properly running meetings saves time, increases motivations and productivity, and solves problems. For many organizations, meeting is a way of life. Clearly, making these meetings as productive as possible goes a long way towards increasing organizational productivity. In planning a productive meeting in a face-to-face mode, here are the few steps required.
Number one, define the meeting purpose and objective. The first step should always be to ask, why are we having this meeting? Typical reasons include planning or visioning, decision making, team building, problem solving, evaluating or tracking a program or process, and information sharing. Objectives are expected concrete outputs of a meeting. Objectives should be specific and measurable. Number two, create the participant list. For a meeting to be truly successful, the right people need to participate during the planning phase. Organizers should think about the people needed to finalize decisions and commitments. If the meeting requires that a decision be made, then the decision makers should be present. Meeting size is also important since more than 20 participants can be difficult to manage if consensus is needed. If some people in the room are attending to observe, not participate, then their roles should be made clear to everyone before the meeting begins.
Say you establish rules, it is important to determine the roles people will play at the meeting. What can shift during the meeting, but assigning roles in advance will lead to a more organized and productive experience for all. Examples of roles are recorder, facilitator, meeting leader, recorder, planner, and participant. Number 4, develop the agenda. The agenda provides the focusing framework for the meeting, put tasks in a logical order and time frame, and offers an outline for writing the summary report at the meeting conclusion. In the hands of a skilled facilitator, the agenda can be considered as a guideline but not a law. Flexibility is essential to ensure that topics are resolved or tasks accomplished in the best manner possible. Facilitation should anticipate which items could be postponed and be prepared to table onto them until a more appropriate time.
5. Identifying background material. Background material basically provides participants with the information needed to meaningfully participate in the meeting, and it is ideal participants receive this information at least 1 week in advance before the meeting. Now let's take a look at what is included in the background material. Number 1, the participant agenda, a list of participants and research and studies on relevant information that is going to be discussed in the meeting. Also, informing the participants if the digital material provided to them will be available or it will be provided in the meeting is also a good practice. 6, planning the meeting space. An important part of meeting dynamic is the meeting environment, and a convenient location for all participants is a plus, but then a neutral location should be considered for contentious discussion. If participants are traveling from a long distance, it is advisable that you send the venue of the location to them so that they can all stay in the same place. Also, how the room is set up should depend on how the content will be delivered and what type of interaction is expected between participants. Now let's take a look at common room setup. We have the conference style. In this style, the participants are seated on 4 sides of the table, and it is mostly used in small meetings or similar meetings of this type, where interaction between participants is anticipated and expected.
Polo square. Tables are arranged in a square in which the center is open. Chairs are placed around the perimeter of the square. This setup is used for larger committee-type meetings where interactions among participants is important. U-shape. Rectangular tables are positioned to form a U, with chairs placed around the outside. This setup is used for committee meetings as well, but is particularly helpful when using audiovisual equipment so that all participants can see a presentation when a screen is placed at the open part of the U. Theater style. Rows of chairs are placed next to each other, facing the front of the room. A speaker or a presenter is at the front of the room. This style maximizes the available seating and works well with audience needs to take minimal notes and when participant interaction will be minimal. Classroom style. Rows of tables face the front of the room with 2 to 4 chairs at each. This setup is appropriate when there is a presentation at the front of the room and participants are expected to take notes. Round tables. 8 to 10 chairs are arranged around small round tables. This style can be used for small breakout groups. Participants can converse with each other easily.
Who is a facilitator? A facilitator is someone who uses knowledge of a group processes to design and deliver the structure needed for effective meetings. Facilitator can be an individual outside the group or organization, or an internal team member or meeting leader. Helping plan the agenda is a key function of this role. Facilitators help the group members decide where they want to go, but the group himself deliberately and makes the final decisions. At the meeting, a facilitator acts as a content-neutral person who leads the group through the agenda but does not contribute to the sustenance of the discussion and has no decision-making authority. Facilitators functions. Now, it helps the group define its meeting purpose and desired objectives for the meeting.
I'm here to talk about planning an online meeting. Planning an online meeting, there's some special consideration for facilitating online meeting where one or all group members are going to be participating through phone, video, or the web. There are some techniques used in virtual meeting. Before the meeting, make any special arrangement for background information and meeting material, and make sure all participants have access to the meeting.
Steps to be taken during the meeting. Step 1. Conduct a roll call to establish that people are engaged and ready to proceed and to let everyone know who is participating. Step 2. Keep a list of participants' names in front of the facilitator. Step 3. As the meeting progresses, the facilitator should make a check mark beside people's name every time they speak to keep track of who is on the line and help identify the people who need to be brought into the conversation. Step 4. Ask participants to identify themselves before they speak.
Meeting evaluation. Collecting of information from our meeting participants on how they feel meeting went can be used to make a future meeting more productive. A common way to get feedback from meeting participants is by using an evaluation form. Other method is to spend a few minutes with the meeting participants at the end of the meeting, asking them what can be changed or improved. The facilitator will then respond on 2 different sheets from the flip chart, or the facilitator can use the sheets of paper with 2 columns from the aforementioned question. Some facilitators call this a plus or data exercise. Other good approach is by asking the group to answer the questions in a round robin format.
Short meeting summary document should be drafted within 2 weeks of the meeting if possible. The summary should contain a minimum like the action items and next steps, including due date and responsible parties. More formal summary reports can include background information, main point of discussion, and answers to questions asked by the participants. Participants should know what type of meeting summary will be compiled, and they will be asked to review such a document before it's final.
Conclusion: knowing how to plan and facilitate an effective meeting is a highly valuable skill. There is a growing need for increased facilitation skills as decision processes becomes more collaborative and input is needed from many perspectives. Well, no written material can replace formal facilitation training. Thank you for watching.